Alright. Welcome, I'm Landon. I'm a sophomore from the US, and today, welcome to Landon's Guide to High School Math. We're on the Pre-Algebra unit, and today is the last episode, the last part for equations and inequalities. So, we only have one more section, and then we have the unit test. So, let's get to it. If you want to go watch the previous 4 episodes before the unit test, you can certainly do that right now. But I'm going to go ahead and start this right here. Corey's favorite hiking trail is 10 kilometers long. They wrote this equation to find how much time it would take to hike this trail if they hike at a rate of r kilometers per hour. Identify the dependent and independent variables. The independent variables are variables that are the main variables. So it might sound confusing, but basically, independent is so it's like kilometers, and then dependent is time. So independent is going to always be the rate, and then the dependent is always going to be the time. See, it says that is affected when we change the independent variable. So the independent variable, think of it this way. This is the independent variable right here. Let's just say that this is like, maybe it's like the father, okay? This is the dad. And then the dependent variable, this is the son. The son has to obey the father. So that's what we're talking here. So rate is the father here. Time is the son. The rate gives time a command, and that's how it works. So if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the videos, and happy studying. I'll explain it more often in these next problems. So Kai is buying boxes of cookies at a bakery. Each box of cookies costs $4. He wrote this equation to find how many dollars he'll spend. D. When he buys some number of boxes of cookies. So when he buys this, he has to find this. So first, he's determining the cookies, because if we take a look at this, when he buys some number of boxes for cookies, it means he's going to buy cookies first and multiply that by 4. So whatever C is, that's going to control what D is, because if we know what D is, like maybe D is like 4, but then like, it's complicated. So C would be the independent variable and D would be the dependent variable. So if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the explanation. Here's the video, and happy studying. Okay. Seth is planning a route for the train that travels at a constant rate of 220 kilometers an hour. They want to write an equation that shows how many hours a trip takes in terms of the trip's distance. So in terms of this means that we're following the distance. So whatever is first will usually be dependent, but you just have to read it a little bit. So we know that D is going to be the independent variable, and then T is going to be our dependent. So whatever D is, that'll control what D is. So we want to find a side of the equation, so either the left or the right, that does not have any variables when we plug in any number for the independent variable. We know the independent variable is D, so we want to find where D stands alone. D stands alone here, but it won't work since... Let me put it another way. We want to find a side where it'll be a value immediately, like where we can plug it in using mental math. So if D is here and it's divisible by 220, then if we plug in like 220 for D, then 220 divided by 220, that's equal to 1, right? While B, there's still a T on that side. And then D over T, if we have 220 over T, we still have a variable there. So they should write like A right here. So in terms of D, that'll give us T. Because say we have like maybe this here, we can probably easily solve this, but we don't have an exact value for T since we're not given the distance. Whereas T, we're given an answer immediately. So that's how that goes. Okay, last problem, I'll let you guys take a crack at this by yourself, and then we'll go through it together. So pause right now. Okay, so he wants to write an equation where he can use to convert any given length in inches to centimeters. So we have a given. So this is your key word here, given. And you're going to use this a lot in geometry too, about 2 years from now. So, given. Or any word similar to that. So, we know that I is the independent variable because that's the given. So, we want I to stand right here, where we can get a value after multiplying by 2.54. So the answer here is going to be C. If you got that right, oh, nice, we got a badge. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the video, and happy studying. Okay, so, all right, good job, we're doing good. All right, tables from equations with two variables. Complete the table for the given rule. So now we're actually plugging in the values here. Plugging in like 5, 3, 4, etc. So what we're going to do, we're just going to... Remember that 4x is another way of saying 4 times x. So what we can do is we can do 4 times 5, since this will equal our y. So 4 times 5 is 20, so y is 20. So that's that. And then we don't even have to use the whiteboard. Let's just try it in our head. 3 times 4... that's equal to 12. And then 4 times 4 is 16. So it's 20, 12, 16. So yes, if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay, complete the table for the given rules. So now we're given a y value. In order to figure out what we need for x alone, we have to subtract. So to get the literal value of x, we want y is equal to x plus 3. And then, what do we do to get x alone? So something is equal to x here. And we want the literal definition. So what is it going to be? Y minus 3 is our answer here. So if we subtract 3 on both sides, because remember, we can cancel this out, because a positive and a negative of the same number are always equal to 0, since it has same absolute value. And you'll talk more about absolute value later in this course. So we subtract 3, and since we don't know what y is, we have to put it as y minus 3. So now we just have to use our given y values here to get to x. So 4 minus 3 is 1. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So the answer here is 1, 5, and 2. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay. Complete the table for the given values. So, same thing here. So we are actually going to find y in the last problem. So let's use y is equal to x minus 5, and then we'll find x while keeping y. So we have to add 5 on both sides. This will give us y plus 5. So now we know what x and y is equal to, which means that theoretically, y is equal to, if you plug it in from x, y plus 5 minus 5. And since y is x minus 5 is equal to x minus 5 plus 5 minus 5. Now, this may seem really weird and wonky, but this is just something that I kind of do when I'm bored. But anyways, let's go ahead and solve the problems given our given values. So, y. So, 7 plus 5 is 12. And then 25 plus 5 is 30. And now we use our given value x. So 15 minus 5, taken from here, is equal to 10. So, yeah, this is our answer. 12, 30, and 10. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay, I'll let you guys do this on your own, and then we'll do it together. Alright, so we don't have to do a lot of work here. All we have to do is just plug in our given x values over here into 8. So if we plug that in for y, if we do, let's just do 2 plus 8 is 10, 0 plus 8 is 8, and then 4 plus 8 is 12. So here it's 10, 8, and 12. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay, my microphone is on. I didn't check that before. Okay, anyways, yeah, so... Okay, we're doing good, match equations to coordinates on a graph. Which graph represents xy pairs that make this equation y equals x minus 1 true? So we discussed one of our previous episodes back in like Unit 4 or Unit 5, I forgot what it was, but we discussed slope-intercept form, which I said was y equals mx plus b. You will use this formula a lot in Algebra 1. Memorize it. I mean that. So, when we're using y equals mx plus b, we have a couple new terms. We have our traditional terms y and x, but then we get introduced to some new terms. We got m, we got b. If you want more information about m and b, check out my previous video, but I'll say it right now. M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. But anyways, let's go ahead and do this. So, since we have a slope of 1, we know that our graph is going to go in a line sort of like this, where x is moving right to 1 and y is also moving right to 1. Meaning that if we had y equals x, then y's and x's would all be the same. But since we're reducing it by 1, we want to have a y-intercept, meaning when it intersects the graph, here. So this would be kind of what we're looking for here, you know? It has y equals x, but we're just moving everything down by 1. That's what this minus 1 is. Vice versa, if it was plus 1, we would be going up 1. So we want to find where the y-intercept is equal to negative 1. We know it's not going to be b, because it says a y-intercept of 2 right here, which is false. So we know it's not b. We know it's not going to be c either, because if we take a look at this, we can also do our theoretical slope, rise over run. So we go down, so we go right 4 to 2 to 6, and then that's 4. And then we go up 2, which is 2. So this has a slope of, rise over run. The run is 4, and the rise is 2. So this is a slope of 1/2. But that's not equal to 1. So it's not C either. A is our only option here. And then we can't put in values, but it's better to just know the graph so that we don't have to, do all that work if you're doing a fast-paced test. But anyways, if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the video. Oh, that's nice. I'll use that from now on. Videos, and happy studying. Okay, next problem. Which rule describes the relationship between the x minus and y minus coordinates on the following graph? Okay, so let's see. We know we have a y-intercept of 3, so that's good to know. And now we have different slopes. So let's find rise over run. So let's do the rise, 1, 2, and then run, 1, 2, 3, 4. So rise over run is 2 units by 4. So rise over run, which is converted to 1/2, or in this case, 0.5. So this is our slope right here, 0.5. So the answer here is A. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay. Which graph represents xy pairs to make the equation y equals 0.5 x plus 5 true? Well, first of all, we know that, okay, so although A has an intercept of 5, this graph goes completely downhill. Look at this graph. Doesn't even look like a slope graph. We definitely know it's not going to be A, because if it was the case, we would be going from and going up, not back down. So it's not A. Choice B, this doesn't really touch on the y-intercept either, so it's not going to be B either. If this was the case, we'd probably have a y-intercept of something in the negatives. And now this is our most relatable answer because we do hit the 5, or about right there, I'm just bad at drawing, right here. The answer here is C. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the video, and happy studying. Okay, I'll let you guys do this on your own, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so we don't even have to look at this. We know that it's going to be B, because, take a look. We have a y-intercept of 2. Simple enough. Now let's just say we didn't have choices. How would we figure it out? Rise over run. So we go up and right. So 2, 6 is 4, and then we move 2 to right is 2. So rise over run is 2. So it would be 2x, because that's our slope, and then plus 2. So the answer here is B. And when you're putting your answer, make sure it's y equals, because if you just put 2x plus 2, your teacher will count that wrong. F of x will work as well. Your teacher starts with y, but eventually you will be doing more of this. See what this is? This is known as a function, and functions do work as y, but you'll use that as well. But if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the videos, and happy studying. Okay, moving on. Let's do this. Relationships between quantities and equations. Okay, let's do this. Seb bikes at a constant rate of 20 kilometers per hour. Write an equation that represents the distance in kilometers Seb travels. D based on how many hours he bikes at this rate. So let's take our previous knowledge and we'll take the independent and dependent variable into this. So we have a 20 kilometers per hour. So 20 kilometers per hour. So that is every t. So we know that we have d is equal to 20t. And t is going to be determined by this. So let's put that in first. So we have d equals 20t. Good. Okay, now Seb travels if he bikes for 2.5 hours. So now all we're doing is just plugging this in. So 2.5. And now if we do 2.5 times 20, I will go ahead and calculate that just for efficiency. So if we put that in the calculator, d is equal to 50, which means that Seb will travel 50 kilometers in 2.5 hours. 20 kilometers, that's a pretty fast biking speed. You must be a professional. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, okay, here's a strategy you can use. But again, in Algebra 2 in high school, I won't assume, but you probably will be able to use a calculator. So if you can, definitely use that. That will help a lot. And yes, when you're putting equations, although d over t works, we want a function, which means that we have two different variables on different sides, and one of the variables are on its own. So that means that d equals 20t would be the only one that works. D over 20t, I'd say that probably would work, but I wouldn't try to risk that. But here's the video, and happy studying. Okay. Raj's catering company is serving an event for 25 guests. Each guest will choose either a salad or a bowl of soup. Write an equation that represents how many total salads Raj needs to prepare as when B guests choose a bowl of soup. So we have 35 guests. Okay, so we have how many total salads? So that's S. And we want a bowl of soup. So we have 35 guess here, so either a salad. So when B guests order a bowl of soup, that's literally equal to S because we want either a salad or a bowl of soup. So here it would be B is equal to S, I think. And then if it's 21, then it would also be 21. So what? I do this every time. Oh, okay. So we're combining salads and soups. So what this means is that we're going to add S and B. So what this means is that we have S plus B is equal to 35. So when 21 pick bowls of soup, we want to subtract 21 on each side. So here it would be 14. 14. So there you go. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the video. And if you got that right, you did better than me. That's okay. We'll do a bonus question at the end, so then we'll get more practice. And happy studying. Mareme wants to build a rectangular garden whose area is 24 square meters. Write an equation that represents the garden's length in meters based on its width in meters. So we want area. Area is equal to... So area is length times width. So if we're given a length or a width, we can find the area. Well, if we're given a length and an area, or a width and an area, we can find whatever is left. So we have an area of 24 square meters. And then this is equal to length times width. So 24... Oh, we wanted to represent in meters. So what this means is that we just have to divide W so we can cancel it out. So L is equal to 24 divided by W. So that's it. L is equal to 24 W. So that's it. And now we just have to plug it in. So 2.5 times 24, that is equal to 60. So that means our length is 60. And we can even check that back in. 20 times... No, 60 times 2.5 is... Ooh, 150. Oh, we're dividing. I'm stupid. So 24 divided by 2... No, 24 divided by 2.5. That's 9.6. So I can see why it asks for a calculator. And we can check that back in. 9.6 times 2.5 is 24. So that is what? Excuse me? L equals 24. Oh, I forgot to change this. Man, that's my fault. Okay, so divided by W. So this is more appropriate. Okay, so if you got that right, good job. And here's the video, and happy studying. Okay, so last problem here. A recipe uses 300 grams of flour for every 200 grams of sugar. So we want, given some sugar, we want the amount of flour. So let's do put our main formula, 300 for 200 grams of sugar. So we want this over this. So if we're doing flour to sugar, we want more flour for less sugar. So that means we have 3 to flour for sugar. So we put the ratio 3 to flour equal to a given amount of sugar. And now, if we have 500 grams of sugar, we want flour. So yeah, we need to divide by 3.2. So if we divide by 3.2, we get a very small number. And we just get the reciprocal and dividing fractions. So 2/3. I was being stupid. Okay. S is equal to F. So if we have this much flour for 2/3 gram sugar, so we use 2/3 gram sugar for 500 flour, we get oh wait, no, it would still be the other way around, because if we have, I'm so sorry if I'm confusing you guys, I'm not trying to be this way. If we wanted to find the answer and then plug it back in, 300 grams of flour for 200 grams of sugar. 500 grams of sugar, we know that's guaranteed. We have to cross multiply. So first, let's go ahead and reduce. So let's do 3/2 is equal to x over 5, because, okay, ignore that. And then we do 2x equal to 15. X is equal to 7.5, which we will have 750. So we know we have to plug that in for the flour when we're given that much sugar. So 3/2 is times 500 is 750. So we were right the first time. That is very surprising, actually. I thought it was the other way around. So what the heck? So let's go ahead and just adjust our answer here. So 3/2 S is equal to F. So, and then we get 750. So, if you got that right, good job, and happy studying. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. Analyze relationships between variables. This is our last lesson for the entire unit, and then we'll do the quiz and the unit test, and then that'll be it for this episode. Lucia made this table to show the relationship between her age and her cousin Maria's age. When Maria is 50, how old will Lucia be? So let's see what we got here. Do we have a pattern? We have 8, 9, 10, 11. So we are adding 1 every single time we have an age increase, that makes sense, right? All of our ages grow at an at a linear rate, at the same rate, which means that you will never be younger than someone, but you will also never be older than them. Well, no, you will be younger than them, but not older than them. You will be older than them, but not younger than them. When Maria is 50 years old, how old will Lucia be? So let's see what we have here. So Could we do subtraction? 14 minus 8 is equal to 6. 15 minus 9 is equal to 6 as well. 16 minus 10 is equal to 6. Hey, what do you know? It looks like we're getting 6 for all of our answers. So I think this means that Maria is 6 years older than Lucia. So we're going to take 50 and subtract that by 6. Whatever we get here, that's going to be Lucia's age. So if we do the math, we know that Lucia is going to be 44 years old. So that's the trick. Just find the formula and find the relationship. So if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the explanation. Here's the video. And happy studying. Okay, Jose made this table to show the relationship between his age and the cousin Mario's age. So we have ages again. So do we have a proportion? J, so we want J. How about we plug in a value for 10? So let's see what we have here. 10 minus 3 is 7. 11 minus 4 is 7. 12 minus 5 is 7. What do you know? There's our proportion. Jose is 7 years older than Mario. So what do? We want to accommodate Mario because he's younger. So what I mean is that we have to add his age to make it equal. Because if it was minus, that would be the case if we're talking about Mario's age. Mario is J minus 7 because we have to accommodate Mario by subtracting Jose. And I know maybe accommodate might not be the correct way to say it, but either way, we know that J is going to be equal to M plus 7. So that's our answer. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here is the answer explanation. Here is the video, and happy studying. Okay, next problem. Ryan made a graph to show his age compared to his cat's age. When Ryan is 20 years old, how old will his cat be? Well, let's see what we have here. So we are counted by ones in this graph. So we have 6 for Ryan, and then we have 1 for the cat. So when Ryan is 20, so it looks like we're increasing by ones, and let's see, 6 minus 1 is 5, 8 minus 3 is 5, 10 minus 5 is 5. Do you see where I'm getting this? I'm lining it up where the ones meet. Because remember, there are invisible numbers where they may not be told. So Ryan is 20. When Ryan is 20, his cat will be 5 years less. That's 15 years old. If you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the answer explanation. Here's the video, and happy studying. Okay, that's the last of it. Chris is studying a type of coral that grows at a constant rate. They measure the age and height of 3 pieces of the coral. Here's what they found. Okay, I'll let you guys do this on your own, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so let's find something we can use. So, we have 15 and 2. Doesn't really help a lot. 30 and 4. 45 and 6. Wait a second. We're increasing by 15, and we're moving forward by 2. Aha! We're using slope here. Let's do the rise 15 over the run 2 from here. So we know that for every our slope is 7.5. But what does this mean? It means that for every year, Chris will go up 7.5. So if we know that H is going to be 15 and it's going to be 7.5, we know that A, that's going to be the amount of years. So let's actually just put it into perspective for a little bit. H, that is 7.5A, right? Because A is 2, and that makes sense. So yeah, so it's 7.5A. And this is just a way I like to interpret it. Just plugging in values to see if they work. That is the key. Because if you're just talking variables, it may seem confusing. So once you pick a sample that is easy for you and then just plug it in, you'll know if you're right or wrong. It'll work every single time. You can try it in your future classes as well. But anyways, if you got that right, good job. If you didn't, here's the video. And happy studying. Give me one. It's kind of hard to erase these dots. These numbers are easy, but... Okay, and that is the end of this section and the entire unit. So we're going to take quiz 5, and then we're going to take the unit test. So let's take quiz 5 first. This is what we learned in this episode today. So your quiz starts now. Good luck. Okay, so we want grams and sugar. So let's do S is... Let's do... G is equal to 21S. And then for 4 glasses, it would be 84. Maybe it's the other way around. $21G. Okay, if you got that right, good job. You did better than me. The answer is 7.5. If you got that right, good job. The answer is C. If you got that right, good job. Okay, the answer is the shortest is the independent and the money earned is the dependent. If you got that right, good job. The answer is 16, 8, and 36. If you got that right, good job. Okay, very good. Good job, everyone. Okay, so now let's move on to the unit test. And, ooh, it's looking like a long one. So everybody buckle up, and we are going to start this unit test right now. Good luck. And if you want to go back and watch my previous episodes, you can totally do that. So I'll give you a moment to do that. All right, you're back. Good luck. The answer is 19. If you got that right, good job. The answer is 10. If you got that right, good job. Okay, so let's do 9s equals 72, and each slice 8. If you got that right, good job. Okay, so answer is K. I can't find it. Minus 15 is equal to 33. K is 48. If you got that right, good job. Okay, the answer here is J is less than 14. If you got that right, good job. The answer is C. If you got that right, good job. The answer is this. The answer is this graph. If you got that right, good job. The answer is 3p is equal to 1/2. If you got that right, good job. Okay. The answer is C. If you got that right, good job. The answer is 3. If you got that right, good job. The answer is time is dependent and episodes is dependent. If independent, okay, if you got that right, good job. The answer is B, and the answer is 15. If you got that right, good job. The answer is 4, 7, and 6. If you got that right, good job. The answer is B, C, E. If you got that right, good job. The answer is n minus 9. If you got that right, good job. Okay, the answer is P equals C minus 3. And it would be 14, if you got that right. What? Probably the other way around, but this is another way you can put it. So let's put C plus 3. No, actually, P is equal to C plus 3. If you got... What? Oh, albeit. Okay, really? When Claude is 17. Okay, so it's 20. If you got that right, good job. The answer is y equals x. If you got that right, good job. The answer is A, B, and E. If you got that right, good job. The answer is A. If you got that right, good job. The answer is B. If you got that right, good job. Oh. Greater than? -3 is greater than x. Okay, it's D. If you got that right, good job. Okay, so that is all of this unit. So that is the end of unit, that is the end of units, this section, and the entirety of this unit. So, great job, and it looks like we are about halfway done with this course. That is awesome. Alright, in our next episode, it looks pretty short here. We're going to do... Oh yeah, this is really short. We're going to do the entirety of...
Most liquids,
Shut up,
when
but anyways,
cooled...
Thank you. Percent and rational number word problem. So, without further ado, I'm Landon Pitts. I was your tutor mentor today, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.